Welcome to the Cyber Cookie, your go-to podcast for everything cybersecurity. Whether you're a seasoned tech professional or you're just getting started on your journey of security, we've got something for you. Today, we welcome Jan Carroll, founder of the Fortify Institute. Jan tells us her story and how she got started in cybersecurity and how she went on to found the Institute. She also breaks down the different types of courses available and what it takes to excel in cybersecurity training in Ireland. She also offers our listeners a free course, so stay tuned for that. Before we get started, a quick request. If you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you could give us a follow or subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. If you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up or a 5-star rating. Your support goes a long way in helping us spread the word about digital security to a wider audience. Thank you for joining us today, and let's get started. Hi Jan, thanks for taking part in our podcast today, and I'm sure our listeners are going to be very interested in what you have to say around cybersecurity, the courses that are available to people, and how they can further their knowledge and technical knowledge in cybersecurity and perhaps their careers as well. So, Jan, you might give our listeners a bit of a background to yourself and how you got started really within cybersecurity.
Yes, Darragh, and thanks for inviting me today. I'm delighted to be here and talk about cybersecurity. So how did I get into it? Well, I've always been technical from the time I was knee-high. And when I left school, I actually did an electrical apprenticeship, which was quite unusual all those years ago. It's still quite unusual. But that was what I wanted to do, and my family supported me. And then I went on to do electronics, okay, because I found that's where my area was. And what happened then was when I got married, I wanted something more flexible, and when the kids came along, I needed something more flexible, and that's when I moved into teaching. And I found when I got into teaching that, I had all this technical knowledge, but everyone thinks they can be a teacher, and it's actually a very, it's very unique skill.
Yeah, so there's a psychological side to it.
Exactly. And while I had all these technical skills and all this technical education, I then realised I had to go and learn how to be a teacher. So I went and did a postgrad and a master's in adult education. And I actually loved working in adult education. It was all about second chance education and people who things hadn't worked out for them, they could come back and do what they really wanted to do. So I did that for a few years. And then I remember one time, when I was in adult ed, I was always teaching technical subjects. So it was IT skills, cloud computing, web design, e-commerce, all of these things. And I remember one time we had this discussion about if you had your time again, what would you do? Okay, and this was around 2015. And we went around the room, and then somebody turned to me and said, Jan, if you had your time again, what would you do? And I didn't even think about it. I just said cybersecurity. And by the end of that week, I'd enrolled on a master's program in ITB at the time in cybersecurity. And it was funny because I'd worked in ITB as in computer services for 5 years, and it was lovely to go back and then do the masters. And it was cybersecurity, information security. Around that time, GDPR was coming in, so the industry was fairly hopping. And when I had graduated, I didn't find it that hard to actually find a role. And I know there's a huge challenge for people, especially career changers, to get their start in cybersecurity. And I honestly don't yet know what the answer is. A lot of it is very industry and time specific. But yeah, so I worked in industry in some of the biggest companies, or the cybersecurity companies and consultancies in Ireland, and I had a fantastic time. Right, and I loved every minute of it, and the people I met and worked with, and the clients, everything. But then COVID hit. Okay, so when COVID hit, like a lot of people with lockdown and everything, and being at home for so long.
Yeah, I remember it.
It gave me that opportunity to stop and take stock of where I was going, and I was then one of the what they call the great part of the Great Resignation. And even though I loved the job I had at the time, I knew I wanted to start my own business, and I didn't think I'd miss teaching in the way I did. Okay, so I thought about it. I spoke to my family, and I said, right, let's see what's out there. So by coincidence, it was around the same time as the HSE attack. Okay.
I was going to mention that because that happened right in COVID. Everything changed that day. Like I knew the importance of cybersecurity and IT security and doing all these different things and having all these different tools and everything else. But I think when the HSE happened, it was like, oh my God, this could happen to my business.
It made it mainstream. And that's what
because I think up to then it was about, invoice redirection and social engineering and stuff like that, like small scale stuff. But when we saw what happened to the HSE, where they basically had to go back to pen and paper and years of disruption, millions and millions of euro to get it right afterwards, and that's from an organization who was investing in cybersecurity at the time. Like they weren't, it wasn't their first rodeo. So it really did change everything. So, and that led you on back into the teaching game again.
Yeah, well, because I around that time, I was looking at working with UCD Professional Academy, and I was brought on there to create a cybersecurity course and deliver a cybersecurity course, and it was all being done remotely. Mm-hmm. And with UCD Professional Academy, they deliver these short courses for professionals, and where they thought they were just adding another course, it actually got so busy that I've been basically doing a new group every month since then. Okay, so I've had about 1,000 students go through that.
And what do you get? What do you get at the end of that?
You get a professional diploma in cybersecurity. So it's like
a level 7 or something like that, or
it's non-accredited, and we're very clear that it's non-accredited. But this is one of the things that I'm asked all the time about. Is it the skills? Is it the knowledge? Is it the certifications? And it's a bit of both. It depends on what your requirements are and where you're starting from and where your end goal is. And it's also the resources you have available to you, and with regards to either financial and time wise. Okay. But I have to say I'm very proud of that course that I do with UCD Professional Academy, and now I'm also delivering the ethical hacking course as well. So that gave me the freedom then to leave my job and then also start the company. So
jump in 2 feet.
Yeah. So when I thought about it, I said, right, there's 2 things I want to deal with here. I want to try and tackle the cyber skills gap, because it's a huge skills gap, as we know. Yeah. And I also want to try and improve diversity. Okay. And it's not just getting more women into the industry, it's diversity across the board. We want to get more people of colour, we want to get more people from different backgrounds, from different countries, everything, right? Diversity of the whole, disability, everything, right? Because that makes us all more secure, because we're getting everybody's experience. We're not just focusing on one area. So that was what I wanted to. That's why I started the business, Fortify Institute, and it's really good because having those 2 goals, it makes my job so easy to think about, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to do today? Who do I need to talk to? What events do I need to go to? So everything is working towards tackling the cyber skills gap and improving diversity. They married together. Yeah. So I started the company in April 2021, and it's been going from strength to strength. So we deliver. So I have my work with UCD Professional Academy, and then I also, with the company, I deliver our own courses, and then I also work with other other training providers such as Chevron. So Chevron have a course that I have been working on that nearly a year now, and that's the Springboard course. So if you don't know what Springboard is government funded, subsidized courses. They're free for job seekers they're heavily subsidised if you're working. So you only pay 10% of what it would normally cost. And most of the courses are postgrad. So they're level 7, level 8, level 9.
Yeah, most of them are like part-time, distance learning, or hybrid, a bit of both. Maybe
and even this one,
on Saturday you go into the college, something like that.
Yeah. So this one that I do, it's a postgraduate diploma in cybersecurity, and it's done in partnership with the University of Sunderland. Yeah. And that's a really good course. But have a look at Springboard. And then I also have my own courses as well. So look, I'm really proud of this. But this year, Fortify Institute is the first accredited training centre for EC Council. So you might be familiar with EC Council for certified.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Like some of our staff have accreditations by EC Council, so it's huge. Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's really good. So so they're all delivered live online. But it's live. It's not on demand. It's live training. So
you have to be there to get the course.
Yeah,
get the lesson.
All going on, and
is there exam at the end of that? And
it depends on it. There's a few different courses that I have. So at the moment, I have the certified ethical hacking. There's one coming up in the end of February that is doing as a boot camp. Now I'm not a big fan of the boot camps because it's quite intense. So then in April I have one that's 5 Fridays, and I think that will be nice. But I'm trying out to see, I'm testing the market as well.
Yeah. And do you find that the courses are relatable to what's going on in the industry or in the job leads?
Yeah. With the CEH, one of the criticisms with the CEH was that it was knowledge based, and that the exam was multiple choice questions. So the course. The program that I have is the CEH Master. So it's the knowledge-based plus the practical exam. And when you get those 2 certificates, then you get CEH Master, Certified Ethical Hacker Master. So it was very important to me that if I'm going to deliver this course, there's a practical element as well. I can't wait to to deliver that one. But the other one that I have going is the Certified Cybersecurity Technician, okay? And this is a scholarship, and I'd love if some of your listeners got in touch about the scholarship, because it's a fantastic opportunity. You can go on, and it's an on-demand course, so it works with people who need a bit of flexibility, but it covers ethical hacking essentials, network defense essentials, digital forensic essentials, and security operations. And as well as that, you get the labs, you get the exam, you get challenges, and I also give I give some mentoring as well. So
what kind of background would you need to go for that course?
That's the thing. If you're thinking about CEH, you'd want to have a good bit of experience already, whereas the Certified Cybersecurity Technician is you wouldn't need previous experience, and it's also good for
just some IT experience,
bit of IT,
something like that.
Yeah, IT experience, but it's more important that you have the passion for it, and that you have that willingness to learn. Yeah. Because once you get into it, like I know, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always doing courses. Yeah. And if you have that passion, you'll make the time to do it. And you'll. Now you do need to have the kit as well. I don't mean the kit, but you need to have it.
Yeah, look, I've done like LinkedIn courses and stuff like that, and they're great for keeping you sharp and for keeping your industry knowledge and stuff like that. But I just don't think you can beat that local training experience from a trainer who walks the walk, lives and breathes cybersecurity in Ireland, and has all these different connections within the industry, So I think that's a huge plus in your favour, Jan.
The likes of that course would be perfect for returners as well. So we have a lot of people who are coming back to work after a break. The typical example is women who've taken a break to raise their families, and then they've to come back to work.
Or stay-at-home dads.
It's not only women, but
absolutely.
But you also have people who maybe their relationship has broken down, and now they find themselves in a situation where they have to come back to work. And then you might have people who are caring for parents, or maybe they've returned to Ireland after being away, and they now want to move into the industry, and that's that type.
And there's plenty of jobs. Yeah.
Well, There are plenty of jobs, but it's such a challenge to get that foot in the door. And that is the feedback I'm getting.
You need that experience as well as the training and education, and then some of the certs then to keep you up to date.
Exactly, and the networking as well. But the networking is so important. But I know I was talking about my courses, but there's loads of other opportunities as well. There's e-college, Springboard, Fetch courses. They're all provided they're all government backed and funded, and they're open to everyone.
I know the skills net. I hear them on the radio advertising.
Fetch courses isn't just on demand, but like there's all the CompTIA courses are there, Security Plus, networking, the CASP is there. That's an advanced security professional. So, ICT SkillNet. That's another one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
They offer subsidized courses, and then the certification bodies are getting in on the entry level certificates as well. So EC Council have the Certified Cybersecurity Technician, but the ISC Squared, they have their Certified in Cybersecurity certification, which they're offering free at the moment. They're trying to get 1 million people to sign up to it. Now, it's not all altruistic, because you also have to pay a membership fee to be part of ISC Squared.
I think I've seen that. I've seen some. I was on your website and I saw something that really caught my attention was your course for SMEs. So I assume that's for business owners or operations people. Or tell us a bit about that, Jan.
Well, the reason I have that up there is it's an on-demand course, because it's I often get organisations ask me to give talks about cybersecurity for SMEs, and it's hard to make the time to go to all of them. So what I did was made that course available, and I'm happy to make it available for free for your listeners, and they can watch it. It's only a couple of hours or so, and let me know what you think. I have a few videos to add to it. I'm adapting it all the time.
Constantly evolving.
But it's the same thing all the time for SMEs. Okay, so like Ireland is a nation of SMEs, and it's knowing that there's things within their power, especially smaller SMEs. They think they're nearly afraid of getting into it because ignorance is bliss. Mm-hmm. But there's lots that can be done, and we're looking at like the basics, like access control, multi-factor authentication, being prepared, putting those plans in place, doing the awareness piece, making sure your staff know what type of threats are there, and then putting in, go through the scenarios, talk about phishing, talk about a phishing email, talk about phone calls, and it's just going through the scenarios and being prepared, and then know what to do when the inevitable happens, not if the inevitable happens, because it's going to happen.
I like the way you said inevitable there. Yeah, cyber attacks, a data breach is going to be inevitable within the foreseeable. Yeah. So it's how you defend. Yeah. And I see a lot of articles. We write them ourselves. How-tos and all that kind of thing, and we always advocate strong cybersecurity hygiene, stuff like that. But I think you need to get into it in a bit more depth to get it. And it can, I think, it's coming around where SMEs are now considering cybersecurity to be a bit of a competitive advantage. They can wear it like a badge of honor, tell their customers about it, protect their brand reputation, especially if it's nothing to do with finance or, brokers. We see a lot of that kind of stuff, or insurance agents, that sort of thing. So no, that's great.
Yeah. There's lots of standards out there, and even the National Cybersecurity Centre, they have published the likes of the baseline standards, and anyone can take a look at them. And even they've other ones. They've the Cyber Vitals up on the National Cybersecurity Centre. Like, that's a great starting point. But what we can't do is ignore it. Like, it has to be something we deal with. And
I think they made a press release as well. They're working on the CI4, which is the Cyber Ireland 4 pillars. And I know our own CEO Dave McNamara is involved with that SME committee to get a standard up there for SMEs. So I think your course will go probably a long way at ticking a lot of those boxes when it does come out.
Yeah, and I've just joined that group as well. So.
Right, absolutely. And just on your own interest within cybersecurity, how do you stay up to date with the latest trends yourself? Is it just surfing the web? Do you get notifications? Any particular websites you like or publications? What are you into?
Well, I deliver classes 3 nights a week at the moment, and a lot of it I get from my students, because my students will tell me what's going on the ground, what's the issue this week, and I encourage that type of discussion. Yeah. And then we also do a week in cyber, and we talk about what's going on, and we look at the different weekly threat reports. So the Ireland's National Cybersecurity Centre publishes one, the UK National Cybersecurity Centre, the US as well, and then we also look at it, has ANESA put out anything. So I sort of keep an eye on that stuff. It's also,
I have to say, I like reading those reports, and I know it's bad to say, but I like reading about the breaches as well, because I think you can learn something from nearly all of them. Like, think back just before Christmas, the MGM Grand Casino, where there was a social engineering attack, somebody pretending to be an IT worker over the phone, got credentials, and was able to get into the system that way, and create a ransomware attack. So you have a mixture there, so you're getting, there's great learnings to be taken from a case like that,
Yeah. But there's a few individuals I follow. I won't name names, but there's just be aware of your local cybersecurity community, and then you'll know who to follow as well. Then I also listen to some podcasts. So I love Darknet Diaries. That's a really good podcast. There's The Dark State is a good one as well, from John Mooney. And which other ones? Oh, The Lazarus Heist. Yeah, that is a really good one. So The Lazarus Heist it's all about North Korea, but it was put together by Jeff White. And Jeff White has written some really good books. So there's crime.com. And I think everybody should read crime.com. And I recommend all my students to read it, because it puts everything we talk about into context, because there's the human story. And there's also the book, The Lazarus Heist. And the next book Jeff is bringing out is all about Bitcoin laundering, money laundering, digital money laundering. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I do is try to network as much as possible. And I do that for a few reasons. It's to get out of my attic. Number one.
I think we all need human connection. Since COVID, we've all gotten into the whole remote work and hybrid working, but you just can't beat a day out. And I've seen you at many of the cybersecurity gigs in Dublin, around the country. But what are the main ones that you like? Yeah. You look forward to every year?
Well, I've been to a few, So Cyber Ireland do a nice one, and the good thing about Cyber Ireland's conference is it doesn't have to be in Dublin. Okay, so they've had conferences in Cork, they've had the last one in Galway, and Owen and the team there, they put together a great conference to get really good speakers in as well.
That's their annual conference.
Their annual conference, yeah. Now, the ones I really like are the ones that don't cost a lot, because I like to meet my students at these events, and I don't like to, you're not going to spend hundreds and hundreds to go to an event if it's coming out of your own pocket, So IrisCon is a really good one. So
50 quid for IrisCon.
Yeah, that's your lunch and everything.
It's brilliant, and the collection of speakers that Brian Holman's team puts together is just fantastic. And that's for me. That's probably number one on the calendar. I know we don't have a lot of. There's probably 3 or 4 big cybersecurity gigs in Ireland every year, or InfoSec gigs. Not like the UK have a lot more, and it's a lot more regionalised. But I think for 50 quid you get a great a great day out, and you get to meet some great exhibitors and sponsors as well when you're there. To plug ourselves there on that one.
Yeah. And then B-sides. So I really enjoy B-sides. Yeah. So B-sides is sort of known as, it's smaller, but it's more hands-on, and it's not
peer-to-peer, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's peer-to-peer.
By the people, for the people.
Yeah, and it costs practically nothing. It's like €15, and then there's also a Capture the Flag event. So Capture the Flag events are fantastic.
Like 0 days.
Yeah, 0 days.
I know Mark Lane and his team there put on a great show at 0 days, and it's getting bigger every year. I think that's in Croke Park. In we'll put the dates up on our website because we're always involved. But I just noticed every year it's getting bigger and bigger, and more people are turning out in costumes. It's becoming a bit like a Comic-Con or something like that, and I find that really intriguing that there's a real atmosphere and there's a real community around it. With young people and as you said, diversity, women in cyber. There's a big push there on that as well. So there's plenty of diversity there at 0 days.
Well, I was at 0 days as a volunteer, so I was one of the Harry Potters.
Oh, nice one.
That's the last one. So the guys are doing fantastic work there, and like what you're saying about the Capture the Flag events are great for skills, for developing skills, and then also for getting a team together for the European Cybersecurity Challenge. And that's where CommSec have recently sponsored the boot camp for women to develop their CTF skills. And I was at that a couple of months ago.
Great turnout. That one.
Brilliant. It was brilliant. And that's what we need to do. We need to get industry on board to help us, get more women involved. And that's what we're seeing. That if the events are put on, it's like that. Yeah. If you build it, it will come.
Yeah, and there's plenty of courses, as you said, as well. And there seems to be seems to be courses for everyone. Whether you've a technical background, you don't, or you have before and you've left it, and you want to come back to it again. There seems to be plenty out there, so if there was one myth in cybersecurity that you wanted to spell to people today, what would that be, just off the top of your head?
You know what the myth is, and this actually comes up a lot, that it's hard. That cybersecurity is hard. It's not hard. Okay, a lot of it is, and when we're talking about the likes of ethical hacking, pen testing, the real sort of skills, and it's if you learn how to use particular tools to do a particular job in a particular situation, that's all they're doing. Okay, and it's not beyond any of us who have the will. It's like learning to use any tool in a toolbox to carry out any job. You can learn it and you can just apply it. And with time and experience, you get better and better. And that's what it is. It's the same in cybersecurity. Time, experience, and you do get better and better.
And I do hear in conversations when you're talking about someone in cybersecurity and they say he or she gets it. What are they talking about?
Well, they're not. It's like, I like this idea of removing the curtain. Like they're not wizards, They just
understand it.
This interest,
aptitude.
But you do need to have the aptitude. I'm not saying everyone has to do it, but I'm just saying if you want to, you can do it. Because a lot of the cyber, like the ethical hacking stuff, I've only got into the ethical hacking in the last few years because I know my background is technical, but I wasn't doing security. I was just doing general IT stuff and computer services stuff, but I wasn't doing the digital forensics, the ethical hacking, that.
Yeah.
Now I am building those skills more and more and more, and it's so much fun. And you can get lost in it. You
have a passion for it. I can see that. And it's like
I'm nearly 50. I'm 50 in a few months, and so it's not an age thing. I know I'm never going to work as a pen tester at this stage.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm not too far off you, but No,
Yeah.
I'd always wonder, but I look, it's interesting for someone like me who works in a commercial role within cybersecurity and has a bit of technical knowledge. Unofficially, like I've done courses, vendor courses, and all that kind of stuff, but I do have an appetite to take it to the next level and do something that's going to give me a little bit more and have a certificate at the end of it as well to say, hey, I've done it. So
Well,
that's what I'm really interested in.
yeah, I'll send
What would
you.
you recommend for someone like me?
Yeah, well, do you know what? There's a few links I would send you. Okay, so one of them is the EC Council Cyber Essentials one. Okay, because that's completely free. All right, anyone can go onto it. You can just Google EC Council Cyber Essentials, and there's 3 courses there that you can on-demand courses that you can do. Okay, and there's also the books, the textbooks, and everything. There's some really good YouTube videos, and there's some YouTube academies, and one of them is the TCM Academy, and they're pushing a certification at the moment, which is practical pen testing. Oh, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's the TCM Academy. They're on YouTube.
As I said earlier in the intro, we'll put the links up on the podcast. Yeah.
They put all their content up for free, and if you want to take the cert, take it. And I think that's a brilliant way of doing it, because you can get the knowledge. You can get the knowledge on YouTube. You can Google it. But it's if you'll need the certificate at some point to be able to get your first role. Okay, because having either the qualifications or the certificates will get you that interview. Okay. Now you have to perform at that interview, but to actually get past the recruitment consultants, you unfortunately do need to have to be able to have those certs and show that.
There's some great, hybrid commercial roles, like solution roles, that are, maybe 30% technical, 70% commercial as well, and I think it'd be really great careers as well. So, I think that's where my interest peaks, so look, and then in terms of back to Fortify Institute, what are your plans for the future?
Well, I want to expand on the courses. We also do the Cloud Security Alliance the CCSK, that's the Certificate in Cloud Security Knowledge, so which is really good because it focuses on best practice in cloud security and it's vendor neutral. Okay, so that's a popular one, and I have one running.
See that be really popular, cloud security. There's a bit of a myth around that as well, but but again, it's a network. It needs to be secured properly, and that's what people have to realize about the cloud. It's not some big castle in the sky. It's not. No. It's a server rack sitting in a data center. It still has to be protected.
Somebody else's.
There will be some protection given out of the box, but as we know, when you get a laptop out of the box, it's not safe. You got to put your controls on it.
You have to be proactive, and that's it as well. You have to be proactive. You have to be able to assess risk in every situation, and it's the same in the cloud, and it's also different in the cloud.
Exactly. And then other plans then?
For in June, I actually want to run the instant handler one, certified instant handler. And that I want to do that in person. I think that would be a nice one to do in person. So I'm looking for locations for that at the moment, because I am involved in. I try, because I'm working for myself now. I try to make time for my community work, which is working with trying to get more that diversity piece, trying to get more women. I also am involved in women in business groups, so I'm an ambassador for the Awaken Hub, which is an all island incubator for women in business. And then I'm also involved in Awaken Angels, which is an investment syndicate that focuses on women who are founders of tech businesses as well. So
Yeah, you've many spoons and many pots.
Yeah, but I'm very
that's what entrepreneurs do. That's how you network and get to meet all the different people, and things happen for you. As you said, like, you have to get out of the attic and meet people. So and where can our listeners find you online? Now, we will post the links, of course, but if they want to get in touch with yourself, Jan.
Yeah, I'm on fortifyinstitute.com. It's the website, and I'm on LinkedIn. Please reach out if you've any questions. I have if you need any advice about courses as well, I've no problem helping people out and helping direct them. But like I said, it depends on where you're starting from, what your end goal is. But there are so many options out there, and in Ireland as well, we're so fortunate that education is so accessible and affordable.
Yeah. Legislation is a big driver of cybersecurity investment, and I think two coming down the road very, very quickly are DORA and NIS2, and I know they're related. NIS2 being the standard that incorporates DORA for financial companies as well. So, have you had many dealings or much dealings or talks around that?
Well, NIS2 at the Cyber Summit a few months ago. I was speaking with, I was on a panel with a couple of other women who were talking about NIS2, and I was looking at it from an education perspective. But NIS2 has expanded, and there's a lot, there's more sort of captured in the scope. But what we need to remember is that, back to the SMEs. If you're an SME who is providing a service to one of the sectors that are affected by NIS2, you're affected by NIS2. So don't think it's nothing to do with you, because if you're in the supply chain, it is, because that's now the whole reporting piece. That's now your headache as well. Yeah. And it's not that it's like, this is all, essentially it's all about national security, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's all leading up the pyramid. So if you're an SME supplying into a government office or a critical service, company like a water company or electrical company or something, electrical supply company, you need to conform to those set of cybersecurity framework measures that are set out in NIS2, just as much as the big players, the big organisations.
I don't think there's enough about that yet.
Yes.
Now I know it's a year. It's like it's October before it kicks in.
A short year.
But
we'll do our best. But we're doing our best to promote that and get that message out there. And I know Cyber Ireland and some of the different groups as well are on that train as well. So that's I think it's hugely. And it can only be a good thing for everybody. As you said, national security trickles down into SMEs. So we've seen that from enterprise measures and some of the industry compliance standards coming down into SMEs as well. Cyber Essentials, we've seen it for years. Companies dealing with tenders in the UK, I need to have Cyber Essentials, and it brings our cyber security up, to a great level, where they're comfortable, and it doesn't take that much investment to get them there as well. So it's great, and it's certainly a great industry to be in. And Jan, I want to thank you for your time today. And if our listeners want to get in touch with you, they have your details. We're going to link everything in the description of the podcast.
Brilliant. Thanks, Darragh.